everyone, and welcome to Kalia's Playbook, where we talk to athletes about their careers, life after college, the lessons learned along the way, and so much more. Today, I'm excited to welcome a true legend, a former NBA player with 13 seasons under his belt, a Chicago native, a fellow Blue Demon, a now broadcaster, podcaster, and so much more, the one and only Quentin Richardson. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
So I want to set the scene of what it was like in Chicago during the time before you decided to attend Whitney Young. Obviously, where you decided to go to college, especially, or excuse me, high school, especially in the area of being in South Side of Chicago, that you have the Simeons, you have Kenwood, you have Whitney Young. There was so much young talent in that area during the time. Why did you think that Whitney Young was going to set you up for success in the future?
Yeah, so my neighborhood school was Morgan Park. I was actually enrolled in Morgan Park. My sister had set me up and everything because that was a school like on the south side. Whitney Young was like borderline downtown and west side right there. But like my pops didn't want me to to commute that far every day. But Cordell Henry, his dad, Judge James Henry, he convinced him like, yo, you gotta. That was my reason for wanting to go to Whitney Young first, was because Cordell Henry and D Gates, those were my AAU teammates in grade school, and they went there, and so it was like, I want to go with my boys and go hang out with the homies and stuff, and then we go there and be good at basketball together. But like, that was why I picked Whitney Young, and it worked out. Me, CDL, and D Gates, we was the core for our career there, and we changed the way Whitney Young was viewed as a basketball school.
Yeah, and if you just think of, as you said, you transitioned to Whitney Young into looking into more of a basketball school. When you look back at just how you were able to set that up at such a young age, what were just the key factors of, was it just being on the team, or was it just simply the talent that was already there, like bringing all those together, turn the program around?
Yeah, I mean, we had a great coach, Coach George Stanton. He was a great coach for us. But obviously, no matter how good you are as a coach, you got to have talent. And I think that at that point right there, that was the most basketball talent that Whitney Young had seen. And then we won city titles and state championship and things like that. Then the ball was rolling. You saw different guys come. We've had Jahlil Okafor, NBA player, a champion, and all of that, and other guys come through following. And Whitney Young has been, they've been solid as far as a basketball school since then.
What does it feel like knowing that you kind of set the tone for success to start coming through those programs, and you see some of those players, like you said, a Jill Okafor turn into an NBA player after that?
For us, it was dope because while we played in the Red West, which we considered, especially at the time, the hardest conference in Illinois basketball for high school, but we was all from the South Side, so we took pride in that. I'm from the Hunters, D Gates from the Hunters, CDL from 84th Street. So it's like we all from the South Side and we out here dominating the whole West Side. So we took extra pride in that, and we took extra pride in Whitney Young. If you know any history, Whitney Young was a smart school. It was nerds. It's a magnet school. People go from there and do great things and all type of industry, you know what I'm saying? Because it's such a great school academically. It's one of the best schools in the state academically, especially public schools. And Chicago public school is probably the best academically. But we changed that whole thing. Like, Whitney Young was never known for basketball, never really known for athletics like that. They had a couple good. Russell Maryland went there for football, and he made it to the Dallas Cowboys. But we didn't have a whole lot on the sports side. So when we slid through and did what we did, we kind of changed that whole, the outlook as Whitney Young.
There's a lot of players that come from Chicago that turn around and say that Chicago is the mecca of basketball. Do you believe that?
I believe it was. I believe it's been down for the last few years, and I'm a realist. I still watch high school basketball. I watch the McDonald's game every year. I'm looking like, where are our players at? Where, you know what I'm saying? We used to keep 2, 3 in the game, and now it's down to none, maybe one, and that one has left Chicago and don't even play there no more. He's playing in another city somewhere else or something. So I don't know what's really going on. I no longer live. I live in Orlando now, but it's definitely not at the level where it was when we were coming through. It was before me, and during my time, we had a lot of guys coming through the city, and the city was booming. Now it's not the same. But I mean, I think we always gonna have talent. We breed that. But I mean, I feel like now our talent gets plucked. They go and leave and go to the powerhouses and the prep schools around the country. So it's a different landscape in the whole high school basketball, NIL and all those things. It's a different world right now.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point too, because that's a conversation that I've had with multiple people at this point. Is a lot of Chicago talent is leaving to maybe go to a California, something of the
Yeah.
sort, go to those prep schools because it just sets them up for success again. Now you have NIL in the question and all that stuff. Chicago's just not necessarily at the same platform as it once was.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what do you think could be done to keep some of those kids in Chicago still?
I like what D Rose is doing. I mean, Simeon has recently they've kept power, and I think D Rose going back and doing what he's doing and being a part of the school and making them a Rose school and all of that. I think that'll entice the kids to stay and to go to Simeon and be a part of that, because you could be a part of something that D Rose is doing. That's the biggest star out of Chicago, period. So I mean, I think him doing that can help revitalize Simeon and keep guys and bring more guys there and give them some prominence as far as nationally, if he can inject that into them. But I just think I don't really know everything that has to be done, but we got to start trying to keep our talent. We can't let them just get up out of here and go like that.
Right, absolutely. It also, just in terms of sticking with you being in high school, being at Whitney Young, I was watching the Youngest Gun video the other day.
Yeah.
And I just think you brought up an interesting point that can maybe attest to more players that during around your time that were growing up in Chicago. You said that people would kind of leave you alone because everybody knew that you were trying to get out of the South Side, that you were hooping. So it was like, oh, leave him alone. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what that looked like for you and what it was like growing up in that space, but also trying to get out of it?
I mean, that's where, you hear a lot of people, like, they call us old heads now. So us old heads, we talk about when we were coming up, every generation, you got your dudes in the hood is, doing whatever they do, whether you want to call them gang bangers or hustlers or whatever you want to refer to them as, but they was in the street life. And if they saw, certain kids that were like, hey, Shorty hoop, Shorty got a chance to be good at hoop, they gonna shoo you away from this, bro. They don't want you around this. Like, you got a chance to do something different. You got a chance to put on for the hood, put on for the city, and do something. Like, if you got a chance, we wanna push you towards that and keep you away from here, because it's gonna be something that's gonna be crazy if you just hanging around here. You're gonna get caught up in something. Mm-hmm. And so that was the experience that I kind of had once, especially once I got to high school and was doing well at basketball, started getting the newspaper and stuff like that. Like, literally, dudes in the hood, like, hey, whoa, you ain't seen him, he's in the paper the other day. Like, bro, like, y'all be easy on Shorty. Like, leave him alone. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so that was really how it was, like, citywide. Like, you know what I'm saying? I had peers and other guys a little older, a little younger than me, same class, and that's how it went. Like, Cordell in his neighborhood, he stayed right across from O'Halloran Park. But they respected him and they saw the talent and they was like, yo, this somebody is going to be able to put on for our hood. Like, leave him alone. And so that was like the climate.
What was it like at that age, being in high school and just kind of being able to walk around? People know that you are good at basketball and people have a lot of respect for you. What was it like just being in high school and people are recognizing you and know you for your game?
For me, I think that set me up for the way I look at my whole outlook on life now, because it was weird. You know what I'm saying? It was weird for me to see people be like, I don't know what to call it, but like in awe or whatever it was, and like to say you just weren't like that. And then like now I went crazy and started hooping good, and now it's like all of this. So like that made me step back and start looking at everybody like, okay, what you want? You know what I'm saying? So like literally to this day, I walk into a room, I'm sizing everybody up. If I'm there for however long, I could tell you what everybody thinking or how they looking at me, at least. You know what I'm saying? Like I always can see that, because that was weird to me. My family never ever treated me different. My friends never ever treated me different. If I do something goofy, I'm about to get clowned on or whatever. It was never like, hey, don't do this to you. Like, so for when that happened to me and people started to do that, it was like, obviously you young, it's cool. It's like, damn, it's like you getting this attention. But at the same time, I was looking at people like, okay, like I wouldn't do this. Why are you doing that? You know what I'm saying? So it made me look at people and everybody. I size up everybody. It's just I can't turn it off. When I walk in the room, I meet new people. I'm looking at them to see like, what's your angle? What you want? How you bringing it? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's just, it's a default. I can't turn it off. My wife be laughing at me like, look at you. I see what you're doing. And I'm like, I literally like since that time period, like when I went from, you know, regular kid playing basketball, then you get good. I felt like I was a late blossomer because, you know, my peers was got good 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade. I didn't really hit to sophomore year. That sophomore summer going between freshman and sophomore year, I grew 3 inches. And then I had like a coming out party when I, you know, over the summer league. And so it was like, it went from like 0 to 10 real quick, and I was looking at people like, hold up, bro, like you knew me already, like you acting like you didn't know me, like this is weird to me, you know what I'm saying? So I think that was just something that happened, and it kind of molded me the rest of the way. But yeah.
How do you feel like that maybe protected you later on in life, understanding very young that there's some people that are just going to try and support you now because you're doing well? Knowing that early on and guarding yourself, and like you said, sizing people up, how did that protect you from certain experiences as you went into the NBA?
Because I never got caught up in it. Obviously, like, yeah, you're an NBA player, you this and you that, and I've had peers, I've had people that I didn't know that I've heard stories about. Like, it go to some people's head, and they think because you're a professional athlete that you bigger than a real person. Like, I always knew, and I was always grounded by my friends and family. Like I say, they never treated me like, oh, you can't talk, you can't crack jokes on him, or you can't do this. Like, nah, I was just like everybody else. Whatever happened, like. And I firmly believe that if any of my friends or whoever else was in the same position, it would have been the same thing. So the way they treated me helped me be grounded. So it was like now retiring from the game and being away from it and seeing what I've seen and knowing what I know, like it was people that I got peers that it was tough for them to detach from the attention and the attraction. Like I never cared about the attention. Obviously you got it, but it didn't move me. It didn't make me feel like I was a better person or a worse person if I got it or didn't. And so when you see some of them people that like, you know, they went from regular and then they blew up and everybody's like, and they feed off that. I know people, you know what I'm saying? People that like, they need that, they want that. And it's like, for me, it's like, nah, bro, I don't even care about that. Like, even when I was at whatever the peak or whatever the summit that you want to say you at, that was nothing that ever moved me. It was ever present when when you're in the NBA and you're a professional athlete. That's kind of, I mean, even if you're not like a superstar, it's still like people see you, they know you in the pros, and they like, oh, so it's like that's never moved me. Like I'm the type of person I'd rather be out and rather get out with my family, go to dinner, and not get noticed than to feel like, oh, people want to take pictures of me, and that made me feel like I'm somebody. Nah, bro, I want to chill and just be over here. Like that doesn't make me feel better or worse. If it happens, it happens. I'll oblige because I don't want to be that guy to turn somebody down. But if it doesn't happen, I'm just as happy just to go sit down with my family or my wife and eat and just have a good time. Like that doesn't make me feel better than, oh yeah, I'm good today. Somebody noticed me and wanted to like that. Nah, that doesn't move me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's, especially if you're sticking with the same age range during that time, high school, even college, there's so much more attention around it as well because of social media. So it's just like you're publicized everywhere. Do you
Man.
think that has impacted, looking at the younger generation now, do you think that attention is impacting, honestly, kind of like the style of play? Just because I think once you boil it down to NIL and who
Yeah.
has the most followers on TikTok, this and that, do you think it's in a way creating worse basketball players?
I don't know if it's creating worse basketball players because I feel like the basketball players right now are more skilled than ever. I mean, they can do everything. I feel like from a young age, they training, they doing all of this stuff. So it's like you got skilled kids all over the place, oozing with talent. But I hate and like when I say the NIL, I'm not against kids getting played, but I just feel like it's the wild wild west. It's not structured. It's kids getting lied to. It's all type of different things going on, and I feel like that not being structured is a problem. But I feel like the social media part of it is terrible. It's terrible because it's giving kids to it's kind of without them even knowing it, it's teaching them to be up or down on the likes and the comments. Like, nah, my kids won't have that. They won't have that until I don't know what age, but they won't have that in grade school. Me and my wife will figure that out, but like my kids will not be dependent on comments and likes and how many people follow you, and that's not going to determine how cool or what type of good person they are to them. And that's sadly what happens. And then you get into the whole bullying of the social media. And if something happens, you getting reposted and you trending and everybody talking about you. And it's like, it's not okay. You know what I'm saying? And so whenever I speak to them kids, especially like when I speak to the high school kids, to the top 100 and everything, I try and tell them to, when you go to your communities, you don't empower that. You got power that you don't even realize. Like if somebody's doing that at your school and you stand up for that person and say that ain't cool, you'd be surprised how many people will follow you instead of following the little bully dude, because you're the All-American. You know what I'm saying? You got a badge to wear that you can impact some of those things, because this whole social media thing it's out of control. And I mean, even you look at the grown people that go out on social media and wild out. So what do you think children are gonna do? Like, you know what I'm saying? Grade school and high school level kids with this type of thing it's like I said, it's too out of control for me. My kids won't be a part of that until I don't know what age. Me and my wife will decide that, but they'll be more than prepared for it, because to me it's not a safe space. And then, you know what I'm saying, with all of the regulations and stuff being lifted and taken off, like I don't want my kids being a part of that and being, you know what I'm saying, feeling a certain type of way or getting things put in their head from this social media stuff. Some of it is complete nonsense. Yeah, there's truth to some things, but like it's a lot of foolishness on there, and I'm not for it.
How do you feel like players can best protect themselves in that way? Obviously, they run many of them run their social media accounts. You're going to see it eventually, or you even see like on the WNBA side of things now, Angel Reese was getting a lot of backlash throughout the entirety of the season.
Yeah.
She didn't look at some of those things, but you're bound to at some point. How do you think as a player in this sort of generation compared to how it was when you were growing up within high school, college time frame, how can they protect themselves from that and just learn to tune some of those things out?
I mean, it's one or two things. You got to know who you are. If you tough enough to deal with it and read those things and like, take it and use it for fuel or whatever and not get bogged down by it, you can do that. But if I'm them, I wouldn't care about the comments, because it's gonna be good and bad. And if you one of them people that read it, like me having a podcast and things like that, right? When we first started doing it, you post a video, it's gonna be comments. Now we new to this. We just trying to see what's going on. A lot of that stuff was criticism for me and Darius, telling us we ask questions too long. We doing this, and it's like me type of person I am. At this point, I'm a grown adult. I've went through my whole career wanting to hear the truth and wanting to shoot people to shoot straight with me, so that if it is a problem, I can correct it. So that's how I looked at it. I'm going to look at the stuff because I'm not going to be affected by it where it's like, oh, I'm down. I feel like I'm depressed. I'm not going to get depressed by it. I'll take what I look at it and say, okay, does this make sense? Like, yeah, I probably did do this. Okay, I should get better at that. If it's something that's just foolishness and somebody just trolling, that doesn't affect me. I'm just going to push that to the side, keep on going. Like ignorance and stuff like that. Like I say, you got to know who you are. I know that I'm strong enough. Like I'm from Chicago, played in New York. You know what I'm saying? Chipping and chirping and talking doesn't affect me at all. That doesn't, like, I've had people say some wild stuff, and it's like, nah, that don't move me. You're not in my real world, so you don't really impact me like that. But I can see, like, forget about the messenger. I can see a message and say, okay, that's something that it does have legs to it. I should look at this and I should try and, you know what I'm saying, if it's something that I'm being criticized that I feel like I do need to get better at, I'm gonna go try and get better at it.
Yeah. And you said, obviously, from Chicago, played in New York. What was some of the Chicago trash talk like then growing up? Like, do you think it was different compared to your time in New York? Well, or how's it in your perspective when you guys are playing in Chicago? What's that like?
In Chicago, the difference is you really could get beat up. You know what I'm saying? Like when I got in New York, I was in the NBA, and it was like the few times that somebody said things or something to me or my boys in the club, like, bro, I'm really 6'6", and I'm right here in front of you. And then when I show you the level of aggression that I show you, you see that I'm not just this character that's gonna just laugh things off. And then it's like, all right, be cool. But like in Chicago, especially in high school coming up, it was real confrontation. It was real, like, you know what I'm saying? We had fights on trains and all type of different things with different schools and stuff like that. Or because, like I say, we was from the South Side, playing on the West Side, and it was a lot of everything. Just like, you know what I'm saying? Because like I say, we supposed to be the nerd soft school, so they was used to treating us a certain way. So when that tide is turning, it ain't easy. They don't want to see this. The Western houses, the Manleys, you know what I'm saying? They don't want to see Whitney Young. We the Dolphins. That's the smartest, you know what I'm saying? That's the smartest joint to see. That's what we were. We was the brainiac kids. We had an academic center where super smart 7th and 8th graders, like you might be in like microbiology, it's a 7th grader sitting next to you, like on a genius level, dead ass. Like this was my school. People had AP classes, like advanced placements, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was like that, you know what I'm saying? So they didn't want to accept like that we was taking over the city. We didn't lose a game in Chicago for our junior or senior year. Nobody in Chicago beat us. We dominated.
Yeah.
Like that didn't happen. KG and Ronnie Fields didn't even do that.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? We was doing something that like they looking at like, nah, this ain't supposed to be happening. It did, like I said, I'm always go back to we from the South Side. I'm Wild Hunters. We on the West Side. We running this. So we took extra pride in that. Still to this day.
I want to go back on something you said, that you just prefer people to be straight shooters with you. So I'm curious on how your recruitment to DePaul went, because again, kind of to your point, a lot of kids can be sold lies nowadays. What was it about DePaul and playing for Coach Kennedy that you're like, this is somewhere that I feel comfortable going and staying in Chicago?
To me, it wasn't as much about any of that. To me, the biggest thing, the reason I went to Chicago, I went to DePaul is because I went to stay in Chicago. Like I could have went literally to any school. You know what I'm saying? I had my final five was DePaul, Kansas, Colorado, Arizona, and UConn. And so I could have went anywhere, but it came down to the final two was Kansas and DePaul, but it came down to it being more about me wanting to be home and close to my family. And even the road games that we would play in, they were close enough for my family to drive or fly to all of them, to like most of, if not all of them. So for me, that was the biggest sell. Now, you know what I'm saying? Coach Kennedy, them, like when you look at DePaul before we got there, it was no question where you gonna play or none. That was a shoe in.
Yeah.
But from the part of what Coach Kennedy and them did to make me be more enticed was their job they did in recruiting everybody else. We had the number one recruiting class that year. I was the last one to commit because I wanted to see, like, if he didn't put together a type of recruiting class that I felt was going to give us the opportunity to compete, then I was going to go to Kansas. But like after he compiled the class that he got together, Bobby and Lance and, you know, your dad, LB, Rashawn, everybody that he got, Kerry Hartfield, we had the number one recruiting class in the country. So it was like, it's all they needed me to do was sign. Once I signed, I was that final piece that was going to put us over the top. And so that was how that went, what they did from their side. But more so for me, it was about staying close to home and my family being able to see me on the regular.
While you were at DePaul, how were you able to continue just exciting the city? Obviously, you were just at Whitney Young. You're doing things that are completely unexpected. Then you stay in Chicago. You're at DePaul. You're playing over at Rosemont, which is further from the city.
Yeah.
But how did you keep Chicago excited about basketball during the time?
Well, I think it was the perfect storm. You know, MJ had just retired. The Bulls weren't that good. They had Elton Brand. He was like the co-rookie of the year with Steve Francis. And really it was Sammy Sosa. That was the biggest thing in the city for us. And then, like, you know, Chicago is a city that they love their own. You know, we had brought back vibes and feelings of, like, you know, Teddy Grubbs, Mark Aguirre, Terry Cummings, like three big Chicago public school products that stayed home and went to DePaul and was trying to bring DePaul back to prominence. And it was like, we were the first class back since that time that like made the city get excited about DePaul basketball and feel like, yo, they got Chicago public school kids, there's big time kids going there. Like this is how DePaul got to the top the last time. Like, so it was a real buzz and excitement about it. And, you know, our first few games, you know, we didn't disappoint. We started off and we hit. You know, the guys, Lance, myself, and Bobby, we started off and gave them something to be excited and cheer for too.
I want to talk about how impressive it is because Rosemont is not that close to DePaul by any means. If you
Yeah,
add all traffic and all of that, like it's really that Rosemont's close to me. Rosemont's like 10 minutes from me. So it's a completely different experience for me as somebody compared to somebody coming into the city, going
yeah,
out to support the games. But you just think compared to Wintrust Arena now,
yeah,
closer to the school, but you're not filling out those stands. Y'all were able to bring people 15 miles away from the city again with traffic, and those seats were packed. What
yeah.
was the environment like playing while you were at DePaul?
It was dope. I mean, like I say, it was dope. And this is the realest I could be about it. You know, you've seen the videos, they got Q-tips, they got this and that. And it was wild. It was everything you want your college experience to be. But like for me, the biggest and best part about it was that I could see my pops them right there. I could see my brother them right here. And right after the game, we all about to go get something to eat or we about to do whatever. Cause like they right here. And
Mm,
so it was like, and like as dope as that was for me, I felt like it was doper for my pops. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? My pops got a chance to witness everything. He's sitting here looking like, you gotta understand, my pops drove this, you know what I'm saying, a CTA train for 39 years. He used to drive right past DePaul campus every day. And so for him to see, I'm looking at it like this, you know what I'm saying? My pops don't care about sports. He didn't care about sports and none of that until I started playing sports. You know what I'm saying? That's what got him into basketball with everything. Like he didn't care. My pops from Greenwood, Mississippi. He
mm,
migrated up to, you know what I'm saying, work and drove the train for 39 years. So he didn't do no sports and none of that. So for him to see, I used to see him beaming with pride because like he get to go into work because my pops didn't want to not work. He get to go into work, have his newspaper like my son, you know what I'm saying? Like right here, magazine, this, that, and the third. Every accolade was like he beaming with pride. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that was the reason why you ain't never seen or heard me getting in no crazy trouble or nothing because like before I do anything, I'm thinking about how disappointed I'm gonna do for my family. You know what I'm saying? Like how they gonna look. I know how prideful my pops, my sister, my brothers, everybody is, especially when it come to me. And so I've never given them anything to be like, damn, look like, you know what I'm saying? Like that'll destroy me. So like that's how I've moved and lived everything. Like even with all of the chaos and the craziness and the rah-rah, I'm looking at pops
mm,
chest out, head up, he hype. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that for me, that was like, that was dope because I get to give you that.
mm. And I want to talk about your family a little bit further. Watching the film, your sister had two really good quotes that I had to write down and I wanted to know, looking back at it now, how you feel about it. Those two that stood out to me was that your sister encouraged you to ask questions to authority. So when you were going through your experience of being in the NBA or just even those first couple years, obviously, which is what the film is about, what made her tell you that in terms of ask questions of why wasn't this happening or why wasn't something else happening? How important was that for you? And did you use it?
Nah, I did. I mean, like I say, when my mom passed when I was 12, my
Mhm.
sister basically became like my big sister slash mom. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like I've never made any big decisions in my life without consulting her and my dad. And like really without them agreeing with it. I've never really went against something that they both didn't agree with it because it just don't sit right with me. But like, yeah, I definitely use that advice. And that's why I say I like people shoot straight with me because I'm an ass.
Mhm.
I've been brought up that way to if I don't understand something or I don't, you know what I'm saying, per se, like the way something is going, ask questions, inquire, and then don't lie to me, bro. Just because you know the truth always gonna come out. So I
Mhm.
just love for people to shoot straight with me, be honest. On big boy, I could deal with it. Even if it's not in my favor, I'd rather the truth come than you tell me some BS and then you know what I'm saying, I find out that it was BS later. Cause then I'm gonna be like, I'm cool, I'm not dealing with you. I like people to shoot straight and be honest with me. That's just it. And I'm gonna do the same to you every time. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna give you the runaround. If it's yes, I'm gonna tell you yes. If it's no, I'm gonna tell you no. Because I don't want you calling me and steady texting me and bothering me when I could just end it right here. Like, no, I can't do that. Or no, I don't want to do that. Let's just do it that way.
There is something else that she said in the Youngest Guns video that she told all of you in terms of your siblings that you are all leaders. What did
Mhm.
that mean to each one of you?
Like I say, man, when something is kind of embedded in you at a young age, that's just how it is, and that's just it stuck with me. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I've never been somebody to go following people and do this. I'm cool with saying making my own decision and going this way with it, whatever it is. And like, so like that's something that I still in my kids right now. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like the Richardson name and you a leader. Like I don't care which one of you, which grade you in, you a leader. You're not no follower. You're not just doing something because somebody else doing it. Like, and I think, you know, my sister started to tell me that at a young age, and I carried that with me. And every team I went to and every environment I've been in, it doesn't matter if I'm the best player or I make the most money or I do this or that. I've always been somebody that's been able to bring people together. My teammates, bring them over my house for barbecues, for hangouts on the roads, get guys together to go to dinner, to go do stuff, to fellowship and hang out and kick it. And just like now that I'm retired and I can look in hindsight, I have so many close friends from each and every team that I played on that I'm still tight with to this day. So it's so tight that I don't miss the brotherhood because I still have it. I still dwell in it. I talk to people in the group chat. I talk to people on the phone. People come in town. I go out of town to see some of my guys. And so it's like, that's because of the way that I was brought up. You know what I'm saying? I was brought up to be able to be somebody that bring people together in a fun way, not on some craziness or no foolishness, but like, you know what I'm saying? I have barbecues and all of that stuff, and superstar come, regular player come, the quote unquote low level player. Like I don't care about none of that. We all cool. We all hanging out.
And when you said when you were younger, your mom was somebody that would help rebound, do all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff in terms of kind of getting you into basketball because you
Yeah.
were always the youngest one on the court, and she wanted to make sure that you were still able to do what you wanted to do. How impactful was she in the beginning of your basketball career?
Everything. I mean, like I say, she was the one who stayed out there with me. I'm too little to be on the court, and then when I get on the court, nobody out there. So you know what I'm saying? You don't want to be out there on the court by yourself. She'll come out there and make it exciting for me. You know, rebound, countdown 3, 2, 1, where I'm shooting and stuff like that. And like basically, she was really the one who put the ball in my hand. And then she was she played high school basketball, won a state championship at Marshall. So she was really a basketball fan. Her favorite two teams were DePaul and Georgetown. So we would sit WGN whenever the game was on, and I would watch basketball with her. And so, like, that's really where I got, my love for the game from.
You said you've had some passings within your time span of your family, but you did stop playing for some time. You said that it was just too difficult for you to do, but you eventually got back into it because it brought you joy. How were you able to find joy again in basketball after going through everything you were experiencing outside of it?
Not even knowing that it was going to do that. Just, you know what I'm saying? Like, once I finally did go back to playing, you know what I'm saying? It was like, when I got home, like, damn, that was like the first time where I had an hour or however long I was out there where I wasn't thinking about everything else. I was just out there playing ball and like, hooping, having fun. So, as I did that, I was like, man, that's cool. I could do that. And then, it's kind of like my safe place where I go and I'm just cool for a minute. It's like take me away from everything that's going on. You're a young kid and it's a lot to deal with. So it's like, once I figured that out, that drew me in more to basketball because it was like something that once I started doing it, I'm not thinking about nothing but it. So I was loving that part of it.
And so let's talk about your career in the NBA now. So you were the 18th overall pick, 2020 draft, but you said that you were drafted too low. Why do you believe that?
I knew I was better, and it's no disrespect to anybody that was drafted in front of me, but it's just like even when you go through and you do what you do, and you seeing these guys and you playing against these guys, and you having your way, you feel like you should be awarded a certain thing when it comes to like the picking and all of that and the ranking. And it's like when you like even when I retire, you look at it, the redrafts, like they do redrafts of classes and stuff after the careers I've done. I would have been the 5th pick after the redraft based on my career. So it's like, that's cool, but that don't make me feel no better. I knew that already, you know what I'm saying? And when I'm sitting in there with my family at the green room and it's pick after pick after pick after pick going, and you sitting there, it's like, yeah, I'm getting angry right now. So, it was something, but that's something you live and you learn. Cause it's like at the same time, you gotta keep it in perspective. Like it was a tough night, right? With the draft night, sitting in the green room and not getting picked where you want to get picked. As far as like being a lottery pick out, that was my dream. I wanted to be a lottery pick. But at the same time, I had to like in hindsight, I had to look back like days after I had to like get over there. Like, you know what I'm saying? I remember sitting there telling, because my sister, she was getting mad at the table. Her eyes was tearing up. She was getting pissed. She like, I know you better than these players. And I'm like, yo, at the end of the day, after the day, our whole life changes. The whole family, we out of here. And so like that was like me keeping myself from going crazy because I was getting mad and stuff too. And I'm like looking around and like that's why she started to get how she was getting because she looking at me. And I had to be conscious of that, like, okay, dial it back a little bit. Start, even though I was faking it a little bit, start faking like you having more fun and you having just so you could calm her and my pops down. And then I had to really be real about it, like, yo, like, it don't even matter what pick we getting picked. We about to get picked. We about to be in the NBA. Like, we out of here. Like, good for life. You feel me? Like, so, like, let's think about that. Like, we couldn't even fathom that this could even be happening. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, that kind of calmed me down. Then I got picked by the Clippers. I'm about to be with my boys. So it was like everything kind of came together. And I'm a firm believer things happen the way they're supposed to. So I definitely think that everything went down the way it was supposed to. And now I'm sitting where I'm sitting.
Exactly. And you, as you said, you're able to reunite with Darius Miles, who you've been able to maintain a friendship with for years. Even now, you guys have the podcast together. You said you met when y'all were in the 7th and 9th grade. Yeah. How surreal was it to realize that you were going to be with one of your closest friends and you guys were both about to be rookies with the Clippers at the time?
It was crazy. It was crazy. And I mean, like, not only him, because Keon Dooling, who we knew, he got picked number 10. And then while I was getting up on the stage to shake David Stern hand, they traded Corey to the team. Corey Maggette, somebody I've been playing ball against since 6th grade and played with on his team and against him. And we McDonald's All-Americans together, everything. Our families know each other. So when that happened, it just made me feel that much more comfortable knowing that, like, hey, I'm about to embark on this journey that everybody talk about is going to be crazy, you know, a crazy transition. But here I am. I got 3 dudes that I really know really well. That's like I really consider them my friends. And 2 of them about to go through the same thing with me. And one of them just went through his rookie year, but he basically still young and going to be having, you know, experiencing a lot of first times. So we could all lean on each other. And that's really how it was. That's why to this day, when people ask, what was the best, your most fun team? That was my most fun team because it was the first. You know what I'm saying? It's like you get this, you only get one first. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you get in the NBA, it's like, this is the first. And it was like, we were so young and so green that everything was just amazing. We didn't know that we played for the worst organization in the league and that we were playing at Southwest. We practiced at Southwest Junior College. This is in the hood, South Central LA. We had a JUCO. We don't even have a facility. We can't even take showers after practice. We got to put towels on our seats and go home and take showers at home.
Wow.
That's true. We couldn't even take showers after practice. Like, we had no facility and nothing. So, like, and even with that being said, we were the youngest team in the history of the NBA at that point. You couldn't tell us nothing. We thought we were superstars. We in LA, we having the time of our life. Me and D Miles signed to Jordan. We would get Jordan shoes that ain't out yet and just go to the mall or South Fox Hills Mall and just post up with the shoes on, walk through Foot Locker. Everybody looking at us like we was kids. We was still 19 and 18 and 20. So it was like we couldn't even get in the clubs and stuff. We used to be at every college campus that we could find. We was finding colleges that didn't even know existed. Occidental College. We like, what is that? Okay, we going. We were just, I'm telling you, it was like we were going to high school games. Like, that's why I feel like we resonate with the culture the way we do, because back then it was no social media, none of this, but like it wasn't common for you to be able to, like, whatever city you lived in, you couldn't just go to the mall and see 5, 6 of your NBA teams players just walking around chilling on the regular, almost every other day.
Yeah.
Going to all of the high school games, whatever the top high school games is, here come 3, 4 of us walking in, posting up. Like, we were very, like, reachable, touchable, and, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they, you know what I'm saying? They could see us, you know what I'm saying, on the regular, as opposed to, you know, the Lakers are in the midst of doing a 3-peat. You feel me? They won 3 in a row, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you ain't see none of them. You ain't see Shaq. You ain't see Kobe. Only people you saw was Devin George and Ty Lue. Like, that's why we was cool with them, because they would be in the clubs like with stuff like we were. But like, you would not see. Come on, you're not seeing Shaq and them out.
Right.
You don't. First of all, you never saw Kobe anywhere but the arena. Like, you know what I'm saying? Unless it was some major appearance or something, but like that's what, like, while we were not winning and we were not the big team, we were the little brothers in the town, everything, we still were carving out our little fan base
Yeah.
because we were so boots on the ground and so reachable and touchable, you know what I'm saying? And you know, they developed the likeness, fondness of us because of that, because we were young, we were exciting, we were energetic, and we played with a love and a passion that was, you know, that they could resonate with.
And during your rookie season, the first game that you had back in Chicago playing against the Bulls, you had over 200 tickets for just friends and family. Why was it so important for you at that time? You're young, you're having all this fun out in LA, but why was it so important for you to still show love to everybody back home in Chicago?
That was dumb. It's like, I'm not gonna lie, it was one of the things where it just kind of snowballed into something. Thank God, you know, thank you to the Bulls organization and the Clippers then, because they helped me. You know, when I came, I'm like, yo, like it's getting crazy. And you know, like the Bulls helped me. They gave me a lot of tickets, so I didn't have to like pay for all of them. So that was the blessing in it. But I was like, yo, I will never do this again. Thank God again for my sister. I handed her all of the stuff and she did all of the dispersing and you know, putting them in envelopes and leaving them for this. I was like, yo, by the time it was time to get down, I just want to play, man. I don't want to do none of this. Like that was why I was like, that's why I got so much respect for D Rose, being able to do what he did, being from the city and the way that he did it and who he was, how big he was. Like, I wanted no parts of that. So, you know, like that was crazy, that first game. D Miles had like 100-something tickets too, because East St. Louis, you know, this is the closest game they were all gonna be able to come to. So between that, it was chaos. We had to stay after the game. We had like 300 people we said what's up to after the game. It was crazy. It was crazy.
But looking back at it now, you're just like, that was not really the decision to make. But
I mean, that's one of the things it's one of the things you do. Like, okay, you do it one time and it never happened again. Like literally every single year after that, the tickets went down, 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 down. And it was nah. That was crazy.
I think something else that was also very interesting to me during that time, watching the Youngest Guns video and just with you and D Miles the whole time, is the realization that people are going to start asking you for things. So again, in terms of like tickets, but you guys had the conversation about money as well, and people reaching out, asking if they can borrow stuff. How do you navigate that as a young player getting their first couple of contracts, still wanting to help out family members, stuff like that, but also, you know, wanting to protect what you have going on and utilize it in a smart way? How did you go about that?
Again, my sister helped me with that. Her and my dad. No, seriously, her and my dad. Because you know, like you said, when you're young,
Yeah.
it's hard for you to tell people no. It's
Mhm.
you know, it's hard. Like especially people you love and you care about, and in a way, you know they need it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like you have to like that never changes until you learn how to say no. It never changes to this moment right now. It still does not change for me. I still like if people have access to you, they will ask. I mean, because first they know your heart, they know you're a good person, they know you want to help, they know you always help people. And if the chips go down, who would you hit? You're gonna hit the person with a good heart who you know always tries to help people and you know he got it. You know what I'm saying? So like you just have to learn how to say no. And like at this point in my life, I have zero problems with it. But like I say, still to this point, to this like I get asked by friends, sometimes family. Like I say, it's way much lower with my family now because they've come to know what it is. You know what I'm saying? And like the thing about it is like my sister and them, like they've done it for so long that they don't even approach them no more. You know what I'm saying? They be like, yeah, I'm not dealing with Rochelle. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, but yeah, like it'll still happen, like from friends, from peers, from different situations, and especially being retired now, you know, people moving to the next phases is transition and stuff. So it's like, yeah, it still happens to this day. I don't think that'll ever not be something that's in the scenario.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you have to protect yourself at the end of the day. But I just want to know, how much do you appreciate your sister? Because I feel like just even
That's my
watching the
everything.
video.
That's it right there. I'm telling you, anybody that know me know that about me. They
Yeah.
know You know what I'm saying? My sis, my pops, like my brothers, everything. Like that's it. My family, like we was tight like that, and like real tight. Like I say, my sis, like she thanks me all the time. My pops too. They thank me for this and thank me for that and doing this, and I'm like, yo, I thank y'all. Like, you know what I'm saying, for raising me up to be a solid one. You know what I'm saying? To have the values and the character that I got, because I've seen people that don't. And I've seen people that don't move in an honorable way. And I feel like I moved the way I moved because the way y'all raised me and molded me and checked me when I was doing certain things and didn't allow me to go this way and become a sucker and be this type of dude with a big head or any of that stuff. Y'all held me down in that respect. That's why, you know what I'm saying, I feel obligated to do the things that I do for them, because I would not be where I am. I wouldn't be the person I am. I wouldn't be able to do the things I do without them raising me up to be the way I am and giving me them values that I got.
Given the way that your family raised you and just how important they were into your success and just your development and your character outside of just basketball, what have you instilled in your family now that you have your own? What values do you instill in your kids that you learned growing up?
Man, I try to do the same things that my pops and my sister and everybody did for me. My mom, like, you know, I teach them the same thing. Like, treat people the way you want to be treated. You know what I'm saying? Be kind, be nice, and you know, like, do things the right way. Work hard, and you only gonna get out of it what you put into it. Like, all three of my kids are playing basketball right now, and I tell them, you only, if you don't practice, you're not gonna go to the game and score. You're not gonna go to the game and do well. Y'all got to quit outside. Why you don't go outside? You know, and like, you know, they young. They still learning this, that, and third. But just like my pops and my sister had to do to me, you know, I just got to stay on them and stay with it. But like, I teach them basically the same things that the same move the same way that my pops and my sister and everybody taught me to move, and I hold them to the same standard and try and do the same things with them, because I know that I feel like I came out all right. I feel like I got a good moral compass. I try to do things the right way. None of us are perfect. We all make mistakes, but I haven't made, you know, some of those critical mistakes that get you in some serious trouble. You know what I'm saying, I stay away from that stuff. I've been smart. I've been around situations that could have been bad, and I walked away from them. So, you know, I want to teach those things to my kids, to be able to, in that heat of the moment, when you there, when I'm not there to say, hey, don't do this, or somebody not there to stop you, like, you have that type of good head on your shoulders where you could say, okay, this ain't it. I got to go ahead and slide to the side and get up out of here. And so that's what I want them to be able to do. And I want to try and equip them with those tools to make those decisions in those situations.
Absolutely. And going back to your career just a little bit, obviously you start off with the Clippers. You go on to you have 13 seasons under your belt. You said the Clippers was your most fun experience. Obviously, yeah, there's a lot of youth on the team. You know so many people. What team would you consider to have been your most impactful in terms of your basketball career?
Most impactful might be New York.
Hmm.
And that was a 4-year stretch. And it wasn't the greatest 4 years like of my career, you know what I'm saying, as far as production and things like that. But I think the relationships that I fostered there, like, they really, really, really helped me in the transition out of, like, into retirement and to transition into finding what I'm gonna do in my second act. Like, those relationships there was really, really important. And it's like, that's why I say, like, by my family raising me to do the right things and treat people the right way, you don't realize that you're building equity or putting equity into people and into a relationship, because it didn't even manifest until 12 years later or something. And it's like, because of the way you were going about things and treating people the right way, now when you exiting and you trying to call people to say, I think I'm trying to go into the media, whatever, like, because you treated these people the right way, they will receive your call. Not only will they receive your call, they'll make a phone call for you, or they'll shoot out messages and reach out to people for you, just because you were a good guy. Not because you kissed their butt or did anything to try and impress them, like, just because you were treating them the right way. You were treating them like a regular human being, just like you are. And the fact of the matter is, all of us don't. You see what I'm saying? So, like, the people that do, you stick out in those people's minds. This is their job. They see players come and go. They hold these jobs all of these years, and they remember the guys that were decent to them, and they remember the guys that weren't. And so it's not like they are sitting here with malice on their hand, but it's like if one of those guys that were decent to them, if they reach out, they'll be more apt to try and do something for them. That doesn't mean they won't try and do something for the other guy, but I guarantee you they'll be more willing to go the extra mile for that guy that was treating them kind and decent because you was a good person to him.
And after you had your stint there as well, you were in Orlando, you were with the Heat, you were with the Nuggets, you had an extensive time in a bunch of different places. I want to read this quote that Jimmy Butler said a little while ago. And I just want to, as you had gotten towards the end of your basketball career, I want to know if this in some way might have resonated with you. He said that the toughest opponent in the NBA was time and that he wasn't getting any younger. And it was a harsher reality for him that the older he gets, he doesn't have a lot of time playing basketball much longer. When you had reached the end of your basketball career, your professional basketball career, looking back at it, do you think time impacted a lot of it, just terms aging, or were you sort of ready to move on to your next chapter of life?
Definitely wasn't ready to move on. I like literally I got waived by the Magic after training after preseason. Got released after preseason. I'm thinking like, cool, whatever. I'll get picked up and I'll double dip. I'll sign somewhere else. Set out basically the whole season. Didn't get signed until the end of the season. Right around my birthday, got signed by the Knicks for the playoffs. But as I think I went through what all athletes go through, like when they see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's like right there, it's like, damn. Like I went through all the phases. I think it was the fortunate part for me was that my wife was pregnant with my first kid, my daughter. And like for me, that was like the biggest thing ever because I wanted kids and all this. So like for me, that was like a huge thing to like keep my mind kind of occupied, even though I still was fully enthralled. Like I became the mad baller, hating on ball. Like he weak, he terrible. I'm better than him. I should be out there. Like all of that. Went through all the emotions and then like came to peace with it. Like whatever, like you know what I'm saying? Like if that's what it is, that's what it is. And then right when I got to that point, here come the Knicks calling and I get picked up for the playoffs. But like I think that season, because I didn't get signed after that, I think that season got me ready for what it would be like. You know what I'm saying? And like I had already went through all of those emotions. And so the next year when it didn't happen, I didn't go through those emotions again. I didn't like, that's when I just like, and then the other thing that was dope, before I had a chance to throw myself any type of pity party from not getting signed in the season or whatever, like when it was looking like I wasn't going to get signed, like my old coach, again, doing the right thing, being the right type of, you know what I'm saying, person in those environments, my old coach, Stan Van Gundy, he gets the job in Detroit as the president and everything. And he's like, listen, I don't care what you do. I want you to be a part of this. I want you to come. He was like, we could figure it out. He didn't even, like, when I first agreed to come, I didn't have a title. I didn't have a role. He just wanted me to be a part of it because he liked my character and the way that I had carried myself when I was with the Orlando Magic. He felt that I had carried myself in a selfless way. I was more about team and all of these things that he expressed to me. So for me, it was like, damn, I got this opportunity right here when I ain't got nothing going on. So it was like, boom, I jumped straight out of that and went to this. So it was like I never had that time where I was sitting there feeling sorry for myself because now I'm still right back in the team situation. I'm now, because I remember going through that year when I was not on the team. And I remember telling my wife one time when I was frustrated, she's like, you know, it's cool, this, that. I'm like, babe, you got to understand, like, this is my first time in, like, I don't even know how long where I'm not a warrior. I'm not a dolphin. I'm not a blue demon. I'm not nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was tough. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the part that every athlete goes to because you got to understand when we make it to the pros, that's like a, you know, we've been doing this since we was like 7 and 8 years old. Like from as far as you can remember, I've been playing basketball. So for me, when that came, that was tough. And I was like, man, this is the first time I know nobody's team. Like, what? I don't even know how to act. Like, you got free time you never had. Like, you got to understand, you've been locked in to doing a certain thing. Like, I wake up, even to this day, I wake up every day at 6:30, 7 o'clock just because I'm used to getting up that early for practice. My body is programmed for that now. I can't not do it. I can't turn it off. So it's like when that was not happening, that's not an easy thing to deal with. You know what I'm saying? And I was blessed, like I said, that I had my wife was pregnant. I was dealing with that. We went to a doctor's appointment. I'm seeing ultrasounds. I'm getting to get excited about that, doing the baby room and it was a lot of things that I look back on and like, damn, if I didn't have that, I don't know what I would have been doing. Because I still, like I say, even in the midst of all that, I still was getting mad. I was mad. I went through all those emotions, real talk.
How important was it for you to find an identity outside of basketball? Obviously, you still have a podcast, you're doing broadcasting, still get to talk ball, but you said that it was so important for you to have that time like with your wife and, having your first kid. How did you create a separate identity of just being a basketball player?
I think that was a part of me, like I said, that where my family instilled that into me. I didn't need to identify with that. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, it was easier for me to let it go than I've seen other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and for me, I think it was a combination of the way I was brought up, but also it was a combination of being given that opportunity that quick by Stan Van Gundy, being able to go straight to a team and be a director of player development and be all in, you know what I'm saying, and not really skip a beat. I'm still doing everything you would do as a team. I get up, I'm there, I travel, you know what I'm saying? I was going to every game with them. So it was like, for me, I think that was like what made everything okay, because I still was a part of the team. I could go down to the court, work out with the guys, and do some stuff on the court with them and help guys. So it was like, for me, I was still right there in it. And I think that helped my transition. I did that for 4 years, and then I was like, all right, I had that. Then that's when I came and started doing the podcast. And like I said, everything has been great.
And what did inspire the podcast? Like, what was the final decision to be like, I want to just utilize this platform to go ahead and talk about basketball, everything, culture, everything outside of it. And then also choosing to do it with one of your closest friends for years on end at this point. Why the podcast? Like, what spoke to you on it?
So again, this goes back to building relationships and stuff like that when you just not even knowing it. So when I played for the Knicks, met a guy that was he was working for the Knicks. Forgot what his exact title was. He was something like with the players and stuff. He worked with us a lot. Chris Bernard, right? So you fast forward to like now, like I said, I'm retiring, all of that, whatever. So he's now working. Derek Jeter starts this platform, the Players Tribune, and Chris Bernard leaves the Knicks and goes to the Players Tribune to start working with that. He's like a high level exec or whatever. So they get a deal from, remember the show that's on Showtime, The Shot. Mm. They were just about to, this was the first season when they about to launch, and they wanted to do a deal where they partnered with the Players Tribune. They wanted to get an athlete from Chicago with an authentic Chicago story to tell it was called A Letter to My Younger Self. So I did this whole thing. It was a piece, you know what I'm saying, with the Players Tribune. Letter to My Younger Self, and it got, rave reviews talking about, all the stuff I went through in my life growing up. That was like the first time I had done that. So then, I'm talking to D Miles. D Miles had been off the grid, off the map for however long. He just moved down here to Orlando and getting himself back together. And I'm like, yo, you need to, you know what I'm saying? You need to, because I'm at this point, I'm scouting. I did 2 years director of player development, and then I did 2 years of scouting. But every arena I go to, everywhere I go, everybody asks me about D Miles. What's up with D Miles? Because he had fostered a lot of the same good relationships, being a good dude. So people like asking, like, what's up with him, man? Give me his number, this, that, and third. So all of that stuff. So I'm telling them, like, bro, you need to do a story, you know what I'm saying? Because like the response I got from people saying how it helped them in different ways, like, bro, your story crazy than mine. Da, 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 da. So he finally do the story, but he get me to be there with him so he comfortable. And so like Chris Bernard and the other people with the Players Tribune, they just watching our genuine chemistry. Like we talking crazy to each other, cracking jokes, won't let each other go with nothing, you know what I'm saying? They like, dog, y'all boys need to do something. CB kept saying to Chris Bernard, he kept saying to me, like, bro, then so like he talked to, like, when he brought up the podcast thing, D Miles was like, nah, I'm cool. I don't be in front of no camera, no microphone. Like that's the last thing D Miles want to do. So it took about a whole year to get him to do it. Mm-hmm. And so when we finally sat down and did it, it was chaotic. The first ever one was crazy. It was crazy. Too much alcohol, too much cursing. Like when I say it was wild, but it was like you could see through everything and say, okay, if we turn this down, like turn the alcohol down, turn the cursing down, y'all got something. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know what I'm saying? Once we went forward and started to launch, like we moved that way. I mean, we had to, and it was crazy because we had to deal with Hennessy at first. So we would have the Hennessy bottle and everybody would drink Hennessy on the first on the show with us. It used to be like we would get to the end, boy. It'll be some. That's when it get funny. But like I say, we weathered all of that and we figured it out. And like, you know, just by doing it, like I say, and then, you know, you had the comments and stuff. We used all of that stuff. And we both, I feel like we still are improving every day. And we do it. But like, I feel like that was how that came along. And shout out to CB, man. Chris Bernard, he literally just passed on New Year's. It was still not real, but like, you know, he's really the reason that Knuckleheads podcast exists, and he pushed it and fostered for it, and he the reason why we here. I can't, man. It's crazy that he just passed at 47 and that he did all that he did. But I mean, he was a person that you saw how he brought people together and stuff too. So just shout out to CB Chris Bernard, man, because he definitely the reason for Knuckleheads podcast existing.
As a former player and just what the Player Tribune does for players in general, how important is it for you as a former athlete to have a platform to just talk about what's going on, what you've experienced, what's going on in NBA right now, culture, bringing it all together and being able to talk about it?
I think it's important because it's like, you know, like a lot of athletes, you know, we know this from having peers, we know this from in real time going through it. You get interviewed and they go put out something that's not what you really, not the voice you said it in or not the way you said it, or they clip it and take fragments of your quotes and make it, you know, be a narrative that they want. Yeah. And I think what Jeter did in creating the Players Tribune was like he gave athletes their own voice. He gave them their own platform. And I think, you know, you since him starting that and you've seen the explosion of athlete-led content and guys and women all over the place having pods, having, you know, columns or whatever you want, but they use, whether even if it's just using their social media, like you see athletes more than ever speaking out about topics or whatever they want to talk about and being vocal about it and using their platforms and as a vehicle for people to hear what they got to say. And I think, you know, it's not always the greatest thing the way that some people are using it, but I mean, when used the right way, I think it's an awesome. Social media is an awesome tool to, you know, to champion your causes or whatever you're passionate about and to put things out in the universe that people can see. I think it's great.
And my last question for you, I think it's the picture or the cover in the background that you have, your ESPN cover, that you said they were trying to make you do like a really serious face. And you said you didn't really like that because you're a goofy guy. Do you think that your character is something that people don't take into account as much when thinking about your career? Because it seems, to what I've gathered from just our conversation in general, is that you always cared about the type of person you were at the end of the day. Obviously, basketball is going to be a factor, but you always cared about relationships, making sure you're representing yourself right for not only you and your family. So when they were like, hey, look serious, we want you to lock in for this photo, and you're like, I'm a goofy dude. Yeah. How did you reflect on that?
I think is one of the things that I found like post-career, right, is that being from Chicago, you brought up a certain way.
Yeah.
When I get on the court, I'm gonna be a certain type of dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm fiery. I'm with it. I'm with confrontation and all that. So I think a lot of people misunderstood me, and I don't think I know a lot of people misunderstood me, because like now in my post career, it's so many people out there and they like, dude, I can't believe you like this. I thought you was like, boy, the way you be out there getting to, I thought you was kind of, you know, you was crowded and I think you was this cool. So it's like, it's hilarious every time I hear that, and every time, and I'm like, yo, like I was doing what I had to do when you get out there, like, but off the court, yeah, I like to have a great time. I like to have fun and like smile and laugh, like, but like people was like, a lot of people were really thrown off by that, and it got to a point to where I'm like, okay, like I really must have been like appearing like this, because after so many people and some of the people that was doing it, I'm like, damn, I really was coming off like I was like this or whatever. So yeah, I guess that's just what it was.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time and being able to share a little bit of your story with me, giving me a chance to talk to you. I know my dad sent the picture of you holding me as a baby, so
Yeah,
I was
that's
close
amazing.
a little bit.
Nah, that's why it's dope. Like, to see you, one of my partner's daughters doing what I do, and me being able to come on your show. Of course, I jumped at it anytime, any way I could help and assist, anything. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Anytime.